do we know who's getting that money?
All
that
the
was
people,
awarded?
all the people, they were part of the
Lawsuit.
The lawsuit.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
all the people, but it's like 418 million, if I'm understanding that correctly. And there's a lot of people in there. I'm sure each seller will have like $10 or $11 at the end of it. You just participate just to participate, but you're not getting much. So yeah, so they say they didn't do it. They didn't do anything wrong. But as for on the lending part, how does it look for you guys since you guys heard about it?
Well, like I said, when it first came down the pipe, we were just looking at it and we were just like, look, you know, the realtors were all in a frenzy. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? And I was just like, let's just wait. Let's just see, you know, what the facts of the matter are going to be and see how they address them. And you have different brokerages that were having meetings with their agents and letting them know that they were going to put things in place where they would be able to present those to their buyers or, you know, to their sellers.
Yeah.
As far as us as lenders, you know, we're just waiting to see, you know, what clients are available that are going to be able to come that we're able to close.
Do you think, because this change in the MLS is great for seller, but on the buyer side, it's a problem for the buyer now. And then a lot of them, I have a feeling a lot of people will not be able to hire a realtor to protect them and help them and guide them because they just can't afford it. It's not they don't want it. They just cannot afford it. Do you think the lending world will be like, okay, well, we maybe can include that in a loan?
There's going to be something that's going to be created that's going to give opportunities for the buyers to still be able to buy homes and be represented. It's like going to court, right? You're not going to be able to go to court and not have representation or somebody to be there. These are legal documents that you're signing. You have to have representation. So I think there's going to be something in place to where either the buyer's agent is going to be more willing to take a lower compensation for their work, or something's going to have to give. But I
know VA loan, it's very clear saying that the VA buyer, the veteran, cannot compensate me directly, their agent. So I must seek compensation from the seller part.
Correct.
For this, it's very sad for them. They work so hard for America, and then this happened to them.
But that's what I'm saying. They're going to have representation, Danielle. They're going to have to. At the end of the day, something's going to have to be created to where that buyer's agent is going to be compensated, and it's not going to be from the buyer. Because if that happens, the seller putting their house up to sell, you're not going to have anybody to buy it. Sellers and buyers go hand in hand.
Exactly.
They go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah, you can't sell a home. We have nobody to buy it because now you have a percentage of zero.
Exactly.
0% of something is zero.
It's gonna correct itself. I just think, in my personal opinion, that the buyer's representation is gonna be a little bit lower as far as their compensation versus the seller.
You think so?
I think so.
I think it will be just like, you're right. I think the market, I'm very optimistic, will correct himself, and they'll figure out a way. But I also feel like some people may be able to charge a little bit more because before you did not really have a choice. Is it what I place it on MLS? That's what you're going to get. If the commission was 2%, the other side is 2%, unless you go seek the rest of the buyer. But what's the chance for your buyer to pay you that? Or if I put it's 3%, it's just 3%. If it's 4%, it's 4%, right? Yeah. So the other side, they really did not have that much choice. Now I can sit down with a buyer agent can sit down with the buyer and say, hey, this is my minimum, but with me you get this, and this, right? Because you have the regular things that people will offer when you work with a buyer agent, like you negotiate the best price and navigate the term, you guidance concerning necessary buyer due diligence, provide details on the market analysis and report for satisfactory negotiation. you're also knowledgeable about the market and stuff like that, but there's other things that other buyer agent will be able to do on top of that, and maybe they will charge a little bit more. And then at this point, it's going to be up to you, buyer, if you're willing to pay that or not.
I mean,
But I'm really hoping we can enroll that in a loan.
they're gonna have to. I can't see a buyer having to pay for their representation and come with down payment and come with closing costs, pay for the appraisal, pay for an inspection. You're going to have all these costs. It's going to deter buyers from wanting to buy. It is. They're going to have to implement something until where it's rolled into the loan. Something's going to have to give. Something's going to have to give. But if they put that obligation on the buyer, I mean, it's going to be a sad day.
Yeah. So I want to go back to some facts, because now some people are seeing what the news are saying and writing. And I got this nice summary from Tim and Julie Harris.
Okay.
They kind of break it down, some of the point, and I add some of my own point too. One of the things people are saying is the settlement forced real estate broker to reduce their compensation. Just like I say, it's not necessarily true. The fact is the settlement doesn't impose any limits on what a realtor can charge for their service that they offer. Some people come online and say, oh yeah, now all the realtor we pay less. No, not necessarily.
Yeah.
No. If I'm a listing agent, I don't have to worry about a buyer agent compensation. Oh, my compensation will probably for sure change for more for me, because I don't have to share with nobody.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that. And on the buyer side, you can decide how much you're willing to charge your client, and the client will decide if they're willing to pay for that or not. Because if they know, if you're an investor and you know that your buyer agent is going to bring you money and is going to help you, because I also look at it in a sense when people do investment, they go find a property that is off market and they come and offer it to an investor, and the investor knows he's going to cash out 20% profit out of maybe a $500,000 home. And then you tell them, well, in order for me to offer you this deal and bring this deal to the table for you, I'm going to charge you $25,000. Do you think the investor will say no? If they know they're making $100,000?
No, exactly.
Probably not. So this is what investors are doing right now with wholesaling. They're willing to pay whoever, but this is part of the deal. It's part of the transaction. It's enrolled in there. So I think if a buyer knows that, hey, you're really going to help them and take care of them, because I met in the past people because they use Realtor, or they did not use Realtor. They use Realtor, they have no idea what they were doing, or they didn't use Realtor at all. They lost their earnest money.
Yeah. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I have one time a client would call me. I was like, hey, I saw this house. I called the listing agent. The listing agent showed me the house. We entered the contract, and the listing agent represent the seller. If you do not have a buyer representation signed with that listing agent, his loyalty is towards the seller. Yeah. So when the buyer went on and signed the contract, in their mind, they think the realtor represents them. No, the realtor doesn't represent you. Unless you have it in a written, it's official, it did not represent you. It does not have to share with you the specific details of that transaction and its seller, which will help you make the best decision for yourself. There is some things we have to tell the buyer. We have to provide them all material fact. If we know the property has foundation problem, we must share that information. If, for example, the property is under a specific lawsuit, we must share that information. But I don't have to share with them the details of what's going on with my seller, which will put the buyer in a position where, maybe I can push a little further. I don't have to tell them, hey, the seller is super duper motivated and he's desperate to sell this house.
Exactly.
Exactly. But as a realtor, you sense that when you talk to the other party.
Yeah. But that's where your skills come into play, and your experience, and why you're getting paid what you're getting paid.
Yep. Yeah. So the other fiction number 2 is the settlement we prohibited the seller from paying a commission to the buyer's agent. That's not true. It just say that they do not have to show it on MLS anymore. But as a seller, if you still want to offer compensation to the buyer agent, they will bring you a buyer, you still have the right to do so. Now you will have to put in place your own judgment and see if it's beneficial for you or not. As a seller, remember, most people that don't have a lot of money outside of the down payment and all the costs and the closing costs that it costs for a buyer to purchase a home, you seller has a lot of equity in your home. Let's say you own a home for the past 10 years and then you pay down maybe half of it. The house you're trying to sell it for $400,000. You do have $200,000 of equity. Would you give a $12,000 to the buyer agent to help you sell this house faster and take the rest? Your 100 and after closing costs, maybe 180,000 after having, I don't know, I'm just 25,000. Let's say 20. You have 25,000 closing costs altogether, included the buyer, all the brokers and stuff like that. So out of the $200,000, you have 175. Is not enough money for you, to keep going and do what you need to do. It's not necessarily a bad idea to still offer that. You may not have to offer the full amount. You may not have whatever percentage, but you can offer something in order to help yourself move forward.
Is the commission still going to be put on the CD, do you know? Like on the closing disclosure? Closing
they didn't
time?
talk about the closing disclosure.
Okay.
They just talk among us in MLS to not have a display after July 1st.
And this money from the settlement, do we know who's getting that money?
All the people, they were part of the lawsuit.
Oh,
okay. All the people, but it's like 418 million, if I'm understanding that correctly. And there's a lot of people in there. I'm sure each seller will have like $10 or $11 at the end of it. You just participate just to participate, but you're not getting much. Okay.
So you're just making change. I was a part of the change.
But that's good though.
Yeah.
That's good. It's just like anything. Life balance is
Change must come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the next fiction is the settlement will relieve seller of any financial burden of buyer's agent fee. So once again, the seller may choose not to pay the buyer agent compensation, but it does not involve any that they will save money on anything else. It's just that section. All the fees that the seller has to pay, you're still obligated to pay your own realtor. Right, the listing agent, you're still obligated to pay them whatever price you guys decide between you. All the other closing costs, maybe the prorate amount on taxes, the prorate amount on HOA, you're still obligated to pay. The title policies negotiated between buyers and sellers. Somebody needs to pay it, either the buyer or the seller, but it doesn't mean that you would have less costs outside of the commission for the buyer agent. They say the settlement reduced the total cost of transaction service. Okay, let me read exactly what the article responded to that. Shifting the burden of agent commission doesn't necessarily lower the overall transaction costs. Realtor service are essentially it should be compensated. Sharing costs between parties doesn't equal to reduce transaction expenses. Okay, and then some people are saying, "Oh, now that this is gonna take effect, the price of a home will go down." Yeah, I thought about that too. What do you mean the price of home will go down?
Yeah.
Who told you the price of home will go down? Yeah. I've been in America 16 years.
All it does is go up. Exactly.
I came here in 2007, right in the middle of the crazy crisis. And some home they used to sell $100,000. The same house now is worth $250,000 or close to $300,000. The price of home will not necessarily go down. What influences the value of a home is just the environment, the economy, and the market, right? How many people are willing to pay for this type of home in that specific neighborhood within a specific period of time? That's what's put the price of home to go up and down. It has nothing to do with the realtor commission. Yeah. So some people are like, oh, now the price of the home will go down by the commission from the buyer agent. Hold on, wait a minute. I'm a seller. You're a seller. You have a home that worth $200,000. If you pay the buyer agent compensation on the other side, I'm just throwing out a number. Let's say you pay that agent $5,000. Do you think you're going to put your home on the market for $195,000? No. No, you're going to still sell it at $200,000 because you know this is the price that you want. And then that saving is for you, seller. is not for the
Exactly.
buyer. Because why would you reduce the price of your home by $5,000 for? No,
It's all about supply and demand.
yeah.
All
So
about
who's
supply
willing
and
to pay you
demand.
price will get the home, and that's just the way it goes. But that's fake. If you see that online, that's not true. The buyer agent do not determine the value of the price of the home like that. No, it's not true. Um, and they say one of the things people think is the settlement result in significant restitution of armed consumer. Like we say earlier, the size of the total fund is 418 million. So the number of eligible consumer approximately are 21 million. So 21 million Americans are part of this settlement class and conspiracy, as they call that. And then, so if you do 418 million divided by 21 million, how much money you think they're gonna get?
$13. $13. Get rich off of that. Go get a Happy Meal or get you something at Chick-fil-A.
But the settlement allowed a buyer to, they allowed buyers. It doesn't really help buyers. It only help sellers.
Yeah.
That's the end of all of this. So as a seller, it's great for you. For example, you turn around and you're selling your home, and then you don't have to worry too much or maybe a little bit about the other side. But remember, when you sell, you may need to buy. So you'll be the buyer. So think about your buyer agent when you'll be on the other side.
Great point, Danielle.
It is true.
Great point. You're selling your house now, but you are going to be a buyer because you're going to have to buy again.
Yeah.
Great way to put it.
Think about yourself when you will be selling. If you want the other party to offer compensation to the agent, you won't have to worry about it or not. But hey, if you're selling, you have enough equity, so you should be using some of that money to pay for
It's gonna work out. I mean, just like everything else, there's changes. There was changes in the mortgage company with different rules that came out. We were able to weather the storm and keep going and progressing. It's gonna be like everything else. Everything is gonna be fine. It's gonna work itself out. But it's what happens when anything new comes about, right? Everybody's in a frenzy. People don't like change, but you're gonna be able to maneuver, and real estate will still push and move forward.
Yeah. Well, that's it for today. Hopefully, some of you learned a little bit more about what's going on in the market, and you can make an informed decision for yourself. Keep doing your research. Don't necessarily read and believe the big, the news that they like to say. Yeah, they like to say a bunch of stuff, but sometimes it's not necessarily clear, or just call your real estate professional. But like in anything, you get for what you pay for. You can have a Porsche.
Yeah.
As a realtor, or you can have a Pinto.
Pay for what you get.
Or you can just go ahead and then find the home by yourself, and work it out on your own. But good luck with that.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. For sure.
So hopefully, once again, you learn a lot. Let us know what you think. Do you think it'll benefit you, buyer or seller, or what you thought on that? Where's your mind? Make sure to send us your comment. Do not hesitate to contact us if you need any help regarding your real estate need. Thank you so much for watching today. It was great being with you, and
Take it easy, guys.